So Avengers Doomsday is around the corner, coming out in December of 2026, and I'm excited. I know a lot of you are as well, but to me, something feels a little off. Marvel has already showed us how to introduce a perfect villain, so why does Doom feel so rushed? And to understand why this could go wrong, we have to look back at the time they got it perfect. So in this video, let's go ahead and walk through how Marvel could craft the best version of Dr. Doom in Avengers Doomsday. Thanos to me is the epitome of a perfect villain, especially in a universe like this that is connected. Thanos doesn't appear as much in the previous movies, as he only had a couple post-credit scenes here or there, and he just kind of had a background presence. But to me, the real key was the Infinity Stone storyline. There would be many movies where they would just allude to certain stones and just the battle to get the Infinity Stones, and so you felt his presence even though he wasn't on screen. People were talking about the consequences before he showed up, rather than just the evil being himself. I think a lot of the villains in the MCU early on were seen as low level, including like Ronan, but they were essentially just extensions of Thanos. And this was great because the stakes kept rising, and by Infinity War, Thanos felt inevitable. Now compare that to where we are right now with Dr. Doom, and the hype levels are there, but to me, the consequences don't really feel concrete yet. So what's missing right now? I would say there's no central threat. The multiverse saga was incredibly inconsistent, as we all know. It's very up and down, and obviously the Kang stuff just didn't land for multiple reasons. You know, Jonathan Majors' background aside, just in general, the villain just did not work. And so there was no Infinity Stone level build up at the moment. So that's putting a lot of pressure on Avengers Doomsday, as Doom is being asked to carry everything instantly, and especially in one movie to set up a whole origin, it's a lot to ask. But if anybody could do it, it's the Russo brothers. And to me, Doom isn't just going to be built, he is going to be dropped in to this universe, and that could go either very well or it could be a disaster, which is why I think this movie is so fascinating, because it has such boom or bust potential. And it's impossible to talk about Dr. Doom without talking about the RDJ problem. Now, I love Robert Downey Jr. I mean, what Marvel fan doesn't? But to me, I think there's a possibility that the audience emotional attachment is actually too strong to RDJ, because they run the risk of this movie, you don't see Dr. Doom, you might just see Tony Stark in a Dr. Doom outfit. And for me as a fan, this would break immersion, it would undercut the menacing tone, and it kind of turns the Doom character into a possible gimmick. It could come across as you're not introducing Dr. Doom, you're just reintroducing Robert Downey Jr. And the moment that this character starts to feel like Tony Stark and not seeing him as Victor Von Doom, then the character is broken. So long story short, if Marvel wants this to work, they have to write Doom in a very specific way. And I want them to make Doom feel like the main character, much like Thanos in Infinity War. I want this feeling of Doom having to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of the Avengers, putting them on their heels. Doom needs to drive the plot, and the Avengers need to react to his moves, because we should not be introduced necessarily to Doom, we should be catching up to him in his plan and almost making us feel like we're in the shoes of our heroes. And that's what Infinity War did so well, and just the Infinity Saga in general did so well with Thanos, was making not only our heroes feel like they're 1 step behind, but making us, the audience, feel like we're 1 step behind as well. So I have a few theories I want to go ahead and talk through, and let me know what you guys think about these in the comments below. But I hope this movie opens with Doom already in control, right? He's already, stabilized part of the multiverse already, and, I don't know, just something like that needs to kind of set him as a concrete villain. I know a lot of people have talked about recreating the comic books and having him kill Thanos. I don't know. I think Thanos has been killed enough already, and I don't really need to see that again. Maybe in Secret Wars, but not for this movie. But I need to see Doom have some sort of plan already mapped out. Also, we need to give him a real philosophy. There needs to not just be chaos and not just destruction, but in Thanos' world, his philosophy was a lot of control, order, and perfection. And his reasoning, although, his central idea was clinically insane, his reasoning had people saying, Thanos was right? And so I feel like if there's a way to make Dr. Doom a top tier villain, I believe giving him a centered philosophy of just being in control and not making him feel like this child, I think would be great. Because I want to see the heroes failing, I want to see the multiverse collapsing, and I want his belief to be that free will is the problem. And I think that would be a very fascinating way to go with the character. Because just like with Thanos, Doom doesn't think he is the villain, he thinks he's the correction, and that can always be really easy for the audience to latch on to, not necessarily thinking that he's an anti-hero or anything like that. Like, he is, you know, thinking what he's doing is right. It's just going about it the wrong way, and I think that's fantastic. No pun intended. Another thing, just kind of touching back on a previous point, I think we need to separate him from Tony immediately. I think that the mask should stay on. I would like the voice to be changed throughout this movie, and I want very little to no humor, because it's a key contrast. Like, Tony is a charismatic guy, and so I want Doom to be this very authoritative figure, and separate those characteristics right away. And I also want them to establish his powers right away, because if you're not familiar with the comics, you may not know who Victor Von Doom is and what his power set is. And so I think a cold open of Doom just wreaking havoc and, you know, showing a really reality bending scene, like maybe the X-Men dying, could be a great way of just establishing what he can do, because as the audience, we shouldn't be asking what Doom can do. We should be afraid of what he's already done. And I want them to give him personal stakes, not just trying to save his universe, but I want it to be something personal. I want it to be like, his background could be he failed to save someone important, maybe his daughter, his kid. We've seen that as a theme in the teaser trailers that came out a few months ago, how he was, you know, everybody has a kid, so maybe he's going after everybody else's children, which is a pretty dark route for Marvel to go, but it's a pretty easy one if you want to establish right away, like, hey, this guy's an asshole, like, y'all should not be siding with him. I think it could be a really cool way to go about it. And it also could, you know, almost humanize him in a way by saying, like, hey, he's doing all this because he failed to save someone important, and that's why he rejects chaos. Because to me, Doom isn't trying to rule like everything, he's trying to fix the thing that broke him. And so I think that would be a really cool way of going about it. I think this is going to be a very similar 3-act structure as Infinity War. I do believe that we're going to show up and see Doom winning, and then we're going to see the Avengers failing, and then Doom's going to win again by the end. And I think that's a great way to go about it. I know it's going to be kind of rinse and repeat, but I think that, you know, it's just kind of a great establishing way to show what happens if the Avengers fail, right? And I think it's a great way of showing right off the bat that Doom is a powerful figure, because I think where they went wrong with Kang was when he first showed up in Quantumania, you know, he kind of looked like a gimmick, right? He lost, and he kind of just looked like a one-movie villain. And, you know, your big bad of your universe should not feel like that. And Thanos never felt like that, right? And so I think that having him come in right off the bat and set up that 3-act structure in the way that we did in Infinity War would be a great way of making him feel like a real presence, although we haven't seen him much. But those are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know in the comments below. How do you think that Marvel should set up Dr. Doom in this movie? How do you feel about the whole RDJ casting and all that? I want to hear what you have to say down in the comments below. Let me know all that more, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.